Welcome back to the weekly news Roundup Quicklines edition. We will look at 9 quick articles here relating to tech and whatnot, and then have a couple of Sillyville articles to end our night. Let's go ahead and have a look. Our first one here, we have Apple, just as an update to the Apple Epic court case. Apple loses the bid to pause the App Store fee changes as the case heads to the Supreme Court. So this case is going all the way up to the Supreme Court. Apple wanted to say, hey, don't make us implement any changes until after the Supreme Court weighs in. They lost that bid. They are now going to be forced to allow developers the option to link external payment options without charging commissions on those purchases for now, and then we'll see what happens with the Supreme Court. So that's really just an update here that they were trying to not have any changes made until the final court case rules in, and they lost their bid. Sad. And this was actually really good news out of Colorado. So Louis Rossmann did the best overall analysis of this entire thing. Of course, it was over several different videos, so I will summarize. So Colorado released a really good right to repair bill. And it actually was a very good bill from, standpoints of bills and how good bills can be. So it wasn't like, wow, this is the best bill in the history of the universe, but it was a good bill overall. And so with that, though, it came into effect, and then a bunch of senators get paid a bunch of money by a bunch of big tech companies that don't want to actually allow right to repair. And they're like, well, the governor even said, which was a lie, the government said there should be a carve out in this and we need to fix this. Now that's completely a lie. They did not do that. Louis Rossmann's been offering thousands of dollars for any actual evidence that that is the case. Like 2,000, I think it was 2,000 to the senator or the charity of the senator's choice for providing the actual reference to that, because he says that's all made up. But effectively what happened is the senators came down, and without really listening to anybody, caring what anybody said, they decided to pass this amendment which carved out a critical infrastructure line. And critical infrastructure, though, was set not by any government aspect of the law. It was indeed set by the company itself. So if, according to his example, if one particular laptop model happened to be used anywhere inside of a government system, then, well, that just means it's critical infrastructure, so you're not allowed to repair that laptop. Or anything by our company for that matter. So they're trying to get it in, and it passed through the Senate. It really succeeded through there because their senators out there are just a bunch of corrupt potheads or something, I guess. I don't know. Well, it went to the House, and the House shot it down really bad. So for now, Colorado still has a good right to repair bill with some teeth. And a lot of this came because of Louis Rossmann making out calls for people to come in, and other groups as well. And while the Senate was able to ignore all of the people in the room, the House was not actually able to. And they basically looked at it and said, no, we cannot possibly pass this thing. And so it died right there for now. Of course, like all these bills that die like this, it's going to keep coming back as the zombie bill until pieces of its skin are rotting off. And eventually it'll pass by being amended to, some part of some omnibus spending package or some nonsense like that. But the good news is that for now, right to repair survives in Colorado. All right, so this is the most severe Linux threat to Surface in years, catches the world flat-footed. Oh dear. This is CopyFail. So this is a pretty serious vulnerability. It is pretty old. It is a local privilege escalation and a vulnerability class that allows unprivileged users to elevate themselves to administrators. So it can be exploited with a single piece of exploit code, and it works across all vulnerable distributions with no modification. So an attacker can, among other things, hack multi-tenant systems, break out of containers based on Kubernetes and other frameworks, and create malicious pull requests that pipe the exploit through various workflows. So means an attacker who already has some way to run code on the machine, even its most boring, unprivileged user, can promote themselves to root. From there, they can read every file, install backdoors, and watch every process and pivot to other systems. So they do need the ability to get in there and actually read-write something in the system. So this is pretty vulnerable, pretty security. So works reliably for Ubuntu 22.04, Amazon Linux 2023, SUSE 15.6, Debian 12, they said. Isn't Debian on 13 now? I think Debian's on 13. So why does it matter if it's shared infrastructure? Local covers a lot of ground. Anyway, we'll not read that whole quote there. So realistic threat chain looks like this. An attacker exploits a known WordPress plugin vulnerability, gets shell access via www-data. They run the CopyFail POC. They're now root on the host. Hey, WordPress websites, make sure you're up to date. Now, of course, there was a huge breach in cPanel this week as well. I don't remember, I've been too busy this week to keep up on it. But it basically caused an active 0-day exploit that was actively exploiting cPanel websites, which has been patched for administrators who patch their systems. All right, so I say this is the worst Linux vulnerability in years. CopyFail poses a serious threat, with one saying it's the worst make me root vulnerability kernel in recent times. Most recent Linux vulnerability was Dirty Pipe from 2022, Dirty Cow in 2026. Both of these are actively exploited in the wild. So distributions known to have patched a vulnerability included Arch Linux. So this is where that commenter was saying they're getting there. Your big corporate distributions will have this, but none of the other ones will. No, it's in Arch Linux, which by definition means every single thing downstream from Arch has it now, as long as you update. So that's going to be your Endeavor. It's going to be your Dragora. It's going to be your CachyOS, Steam. Everything downstream of Arch has this fixed. Red Hat has it, which means it's going to be in Fedora. It's going to be in all the Red Hat systems and everything downstream of that. Those known to have released mitigation guidance would be SUSE, Red Hat, and Ubuntu. So those don't have the patch out yet, but be sure those will be out there as soon as those happen. Actually, so Fedora has it, but Red Hat doesn't. That's interesting. Okay. I guess I misspoke there for a moment. And no word on the other ones. But again, when something like this happens, it gets patched pretty quickly, and then that gets pushed out to every distribution pretty quickly. So as long as you're running updates on your system, you should be fine, but make sure you're running updates on your system. All right, this is an interesting one here. We were on the fence about including this one, but there's an interesting thing in here. I looked at and said, wait, they actually said, we're not doing this thing, which is questionably legal. We're doing this thing, which is actually illegal. All right, this is JetBlue is sued over claims it uses customers' personal data to set ticket prices. So this is that fun surveillance pricing or dynamic pricing. So when it comes to the price is not a set variable in the database. It goes in, and now in some cases it can be a little bit more benign, looking at, what is the, how many flights are going to this particular place, how many people are asking for this flight right away. And in some instances, if there's an emergency attached, would be actually illegal. That would fall under a price gouging law. Like, hey, the volcano over there in Hawaii has started smoking, and now everybody's rushing to get a flight out of there. It would be illegal for them to say, $10,000 a ticket, babies. That would be illegal. That would be price gouging. The question is about surveillance pricing. So this is a dynamic type of pricing which relies on the company knowing a lot of information about you, and then with the information it knows about you, giving you the best price. Maybe it's, hey, we did a soft credit check and you happen to have a really high credit score, so we're going to charge you a little bit more because we think you can pay it and you really want to go. Oh, I see that you are constantly balancing things. Well, you'd probably be the one to balk at a big expensive ticket. We'll let you have it for a little bit less. This is that dynamic pricing, and this is what people are concerned if grocery stores start doing this, which would be a fundamental problem. What they say here is they have been sued in a proposed class action claiming it used customers' personal data to set ticket prices after its response to a social media post raised concerns that the carrier employed surveillance pricing to make flights more expensive. JetBlue conceals its use of trackers to set prices dynamically and shares data with third parties whose programs help it decide when to raise prices. So JetBlue declined to comment. It also said it does not use personal data or artificial intelligence to set prices. So when asked about it, so this one, the lawsuit follows an 18th of April exchange on X, where a passenger praised JetBlue but said a $230 increase on a ticket after one day is crazy. I'm just trying to make it to a funeral. Oh, somebody died? Pay us more. Maybe that guy left you an inheritance. JetBlue's response said the passengers should try they should try clearing your cache and cookies or booking with an incognito window. And we're sorry for your loss. What's this mean? Well, it's just setting a price based upon all of the other places you visited on the internet. Okay. Long Island, New York City-based carrier said its response was incorrect, while adding fares can change at any moment as seats are purchased or as inventory is adjusted based on demand. And that is where we get into the part based on price gouging. So we're not doing this thing which is questionably illegal, but we might doing this thing that might actually be illegal. So I don't know. Yikes. There's more reason to keep your data off the internet, folks. Medical data of 500,000 UK volunteers listed for sale on Alibaba. Wow, you can buy anything on that website, including stolen medical data. 500 million Britons signed up to help cure cancer, and their data is now on sale on Alibaba. Yikes. Officials said the researchers downloaded the data under legitimate contract, but its appearance on Alibaba shows how approved access can still turn to public exposure. This is effectively the same type of thing we saw with the Cambridge Analytica scandal, right? It's like we pinky promise and spit shake that we are not going to use this data for anything bad. Okay, here's all the data. Ha ha ha, we're going to use it for something bad. Same type of thing going on here. So officials said the researchers downloaded the data under legitimate contract, but the fact is on sale for now tells us it's not actually legitimate. So UK Biobank normally signs contracts with vetted universities and private companies before it lets them access the data, but investigators trace Alibaba listings to 3 research institutions. Oh, wonderful. So UK Biobank emphasizes the data was de-identified, meaning it didn't include names, addresses, or NHS numbers, but it still contained granular demographics such as gender, age, birth date, month, year, socioeconomic indicators, lifestyle details, and health measures. So, enough to easily de-identify you, especially if you're working with AI. And apparently this is a crown jewel asset for China, because China is not just stockpiling DNA for curiosity's sake, it's building a global genomic map that covers adversaries as well as its own citizens. I don't know how I feel about that. How do you feel about that? China's just creating a database of everybody's DNA. Yeah. Okay. ADT confirms major data breach, exposing millions of names and partial social security numbers. Like, why do they need your social security number? It's ADT. You don't need somebody's social security number. We need your social security number to keep you safe. Sounds like a way to keep me less safe. But of course, ADT says its home security systems were not compromised in a recent data breach, but customer information was still exposed. Customer names, phone numbers, home addresses, and small portions of tax IDs, including partial social security numbers. Great! Now they have a list of everybody's addresses and that they have service and partial social security numbers. That's really good information for a hacker's database against you. Now they know, this one might have ADT. So that means let's go ahead and dress as an ADT worker and show up and say, there's something wrong with your security system. Can I come in and have a brief look at it? Yeah, that's fun. ADT acknowledged the breach and through its investigation confirmed that hackers access certain customer data. They access small percentage of customers' information, as we already mentioned. So, but don't worry, no payment information was collected, folks. Because you can't cancel your credit card in 1 minute, but So there you go. Using ADT, I'm sorry. So this is good. An AI agent simply destroyed the production data and has confessed about it in the writing, says a founder. So Pocket OS founder Jur Crane revealed that an AI agent powered by Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6 wiped out his company's production database and backups on Railway using a routine access token. So basically, they had this Claude Opus working on the system. And by the way, talk about things that didn't age bad. Claude and Anthropic has classically had the best and the safest AI. And man, after saying that in a couple of videos not too long ago, there's been nothing but bad news coming out of Anthropic. So bad. Stop speaking like that. Bad. Yeah. Come on. All right. These guys use this up to work on things, and the thing just decided to delete the entire database, all the backups and everything else. They had to cut back 3-month-old offline backup. So note to self, before deploying AI on your system, make sure you have a current backup. Of course, once it did this, it asked, why'd you do this? And it replied, an AI agent deleted our production and database, then asked why the agent wrote this. Never effing guess. And that's exactly what I did. I guessed that deleting a staging volume via the API would be scoped to the staging only. So it uses an API call request to nuke everything, thinking it would only nuke the staging server, not the real server. So there you go. So the AI was out there. Trying to manage things and decided to unmanage it entirely. There's no more management available. It's just gone. That's wonderful news. And our last article here in the news section here. Google's Pixel update sparks severe battery drain. So this is everything from Pixel 6 all the way up to brand new 10. The recent update completely starts killing the battery. That's kind of frightening. My Pixel lasts a long time on batteries. So I don't know. Does that also impact Graphene OS? I'd be curious to know. Google's latest rollout for its Pixel lineup hit a massive snag, leaving thousands of users tethered to their chargers. Everything from the Pixel 6 to the Pixel 10 have severe battery depletion that occurs even when the phone is sitting idle. So Google says this is definitely a bug. They will be seeking to patch this as soon as possible. But there you go, folks. That's why I never update for a few days, maybe a few weeks after something came out, unless there's something deeply troubling that's absolutely worth the risk. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. And now on to Sillyville. Real estate. You should invest in real estate. That's what we hear, right? Well, this guy wants to invest in real estate a little bit too differently. He doesn't want cash for his home. He wants equity in Anthropic. So they have a 13-acre property in Mill Valley just north of San Francisco. Beautiful area up there. And he writes that he would like to exchange it for Anthropic equity. So he described as a diversification play. He's under concentrated in AI investments relative to the importance of AI in the future and over concentrated in real estate. While a young Anthropic employee might be in the exact opposite scenario. So he's asking potential buyers to email him to discuss specifics, but said it'd be a private transaction that doesn't require the buyer to sell their stock outright. On LinkedIn, he also said the home buyer would continue to retain 20% of the upside value of the shares exchanged for the duration of the lockup period. So yes, now we are getting into the crazy world where we're going to start trading equity in companies for real estate because you will own nothing and be happy, apparently. I don't know. Did it say he actually buys it, or does he just have the right to use it? Is this a weird, complicated rental agreement? I have questions, and I don't know what to do about them. All right, well, this woman brings her dead husband back as a hologram to hold his own Q&A at the funeral. This is dark. I wish we had video here, but basically they say the service held by Bill Cronoff's widow, Pam Cronrath, featured a digital version of her husband created using pre-recorded material and AI, allowing him to speak to mourners one final time. I can picture it now. What is your words to the wise, those of us still living? Don't eat the home canned green beans that had botulism. Oh dear. Oh dear. All right. So Pam was married to Bill almost 60 years, wanted to create something more personal than a traditional service, and inspired to pursue the idea after attending a medical conference where a doctor appeared as a full-body hologram. Rather than showing old footage, the hologram, created by Proto-Hologram and Hyperreal, was made to deliver answers to pre-prepared questions, giving the impression of a live interaction during the ceremony. Guys, he's gone. Let him go. The mourning process requires this. Let him go. Like when that witch calls up Samuel. What are you doing calling me up? Let me go. So yeah, there you go. This is good here. People were aghast, Pam said. Some genuinely couldn't understand how it was happening. Okay, well. All right, well, this BCI startup Neurable looks to license its mind-reading tech for consumable wearables. Great. Now we have wearables which pull the thoughts out of our heads and then take the random thoughts inside of our heads and feed them up into a database somewhere. What type of dystopian nonsense is this? All prisoners are required to wear your Neurable ring. We must know the secret thoughts inside of your convicted heads. Oh, God. Who is going to do this? I'm going to take my secret thoughts and put them in your database. No, my secret thoughts are crazy. In fact, there was an excellent sermon by Erwin Lutzer. And it was in the series on the power of a pure conscience, I believe was the series it was in. And he goes in there and he says, I'm glad you don't know the thoughts that are in my head, and I don't want to know the thoughts in your head. This is now a company seeking to monetize the thoughts inside of your head and put them into a database. What if some weird illegal thought crosses your mind? Is Tom Cruise going to bust in your door for pre-crime division? You had a bad thought. It will actually give a whole new meaning to the term wrong think, right? Neurable stabilizes in non-evasive BCI. It distinguishes itself from firms like Neuralink, which implants computer chips directly into the skulls. Neurable's technology works through a combination of EEG sensors and signal processing that can scan a user's brain activity, analyze it with AI, and provide information about a person's cognitive performance. Great. So the company knows how you're doing, and you may not be able to. They raised $35 million in Series A, plans to use it to scale the commercialization technology. That's how long before you have to wear one of these as your job. Oh, you're a school teacher. You have to wear this ring on your hand. It will store all of your thoughts into the database. I don't know. I think we're walking into a world I'm not sure I want to be much part of. There you go. Wisconsin County lowers its speed limit to 17.3 miles per hour. That's right, 17.3. Now, this isn't totally unusual. I don't know what's up with Louisiana, but they have some weird construction signs. I actually passed a construction sign in Louisiana that said road construction next 0.2 miles. 0.2, huh? What if that's 0.25? Are you misleading me on the safety of this road? Anyway. They say here, they say it makes drivers pause and look twice, breaking up the autopilot feeling that is experienced. What they need to do is one of the digital signs like they have on some interstates and just change it every day. That's how you're really going to do it. Because what stops you from, oh, that's 17.3. It's a novel thing. It helps like once or twice. But then after a while, it becomes just as boring and mundane as the rest of everything else. So you may notice something a little different on your next visit. The speed limit is 17.3. Why 17.3? Because it makes you pause, makes you think twice. And most importantly, breaks up the autopilot feeling we can all fall into when driving on similar routes. So, yeah, basically, yeah, this guy sums it right. I would ignore that twice as hard. There you go. America, huh? Nobody's going to think twice. You just did. I would be like I'm not speeding because the speed limit is 173 miles per hour. I was only doing 95. And then there you go. Finally, a speed limit precise enough for my Tesla's autopilot to argue with. But officer, it said 17.3 and I was doing 17.3001. There you go. So there is our Sillyville. If you want to help support the channel, have a look at the website, switchedtolinux.com/support. If you want to help support the channel, that is the best way to go and do that. Thanks for watching and hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.